Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to my first ever live feed. Because I figure if I'm going to do something for charity, why not embarrass myself in front of the entire nation? Why not? I hope you've managed to successfully join in. We're roughly on time, but please bear with it in terms of the streaming. The Wi-Fi connection is atrocious, so I'm actually hotspotting in order to get live to you tonight. So what I'm going to do is we've got 2 auction lots. 100% of the money is going to Tusk, and they're ending at 7:45 and 8 o'clock respectively. Don't watch me, get onto the link that's at the bottom of your screen and make sure that you go and make a bid. It's not necessarily the quickest process, so you need to go to the website, you then need to get onto Givergy and register yourself as a bidder, so don't leave it too late. In the meantime, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the 2 pieces, what's inspired them, and why I've chosen Tusk as my charity to support this year. Don't leave it too late. I'm going to say that again. Register via the website to Givergy, and I'm actually live here within the exhibition at La Galleria on Pall Mall. It's an absolute pleasure to work with Tusk this year. I'm absolutely delighted that already, even with these bids at their starting prices of 8,000 and 8,200 respectively, the total amount that is going to be donated to Tusk already with the sale so far is going to be close on £30,000. There are reserves on both of these pieces. The cheetahs are reserved at 14,000 and the elephants are reserved at 15,000. Why have I done that? It's more important to me that we get the most amount of money raised for Tusk. So at that value, which is less than their catalogue value, the cheetahs would be 18,600 and the elephants would be 20,160 according to their size and according to the catalogue price. I would rather hold those pieces back and put another massive effort in to sell them for good money, as 100% of those funds are going to Tusk. So if they don't reach their reserves of 14,000 and 15,000 respectively, I'm going to hold them back and we're going to have another go later on in the calendar year, when things pick up, when we're not battling with COVID, and when things are a little bit more smooth and we can get people into a big space ready to bid together. But in the meantime, this is the best that I can do. This is as much effort as I can possibly put in to make it as easy for you to bid and give money straight to Tusk. So I implore you, put the bids in now, make sure that that money is coming straight in, and to tell you a little bit more about where it's going to go, I'm going to hand over to Charlie, CEO Tusk, Charlie Mayhew, who's going to tell you a little bit about the impact that COVID-19 has had on Tusk this year.
I'm talking to you today because I want to share with you this extraordinary collection of work that Hannah Shergold has put together to support the work of Tusk across Africa. I'm Charlie Mayhew, the Chief Executive of Tusk, which is an African conservation charity that has been severely impacted by the coronavirus. One of the huge concerns that we are seeing as a result of the virus is the loss of jobs and redundancies across the hospitality and travel industry across Africa due to the downturn in revenue. And that in turn is leading to an upsurge in snaring and bushmeat poaching by communities who are simply wanting to put food on the table for their families. In terms of the loss of revenue that the charity is going to see this year, because we haven't been able to stage all of the usual events that we would like to put on. The consequence of that will sadly mean that we won't be able to fund anything like the level of grants that we would normally invest in our conservation programs across the continent of Africa. We are hugely grateful to Hannah Shergold for supporting the charity in the midst of this coronavirus crisis. It has never been more urgent that we raise funds to protect the wildlife and the landscape and the habitats of Africa. And we are thrilled that all of these paintings are supporting our work. I urge everybody to bid as generously as you can for these two fantastic pictures behind me, which are going to auction with 100% of the proceeds coming to Tusk. Anyone buying any of these amazing works of art, the funds that you are donating, that Hannah is donating through her work, is going to have a very significant impact in helping us to protect the wildlife and habitats of Africa. If you'd like more information about this incredible Tusk collection, or would be keen to bid, please go to Hannah Shergold's website.
So you're back with me, hearing my dulcet tones again. You couldn't have heard it from anyone better. Charlie Mayhew, CEO Tusk, explaining exactly why these funds are so important, particularly this year. The projects that Tusk supports have taken an enormous hit from the lack of tourism, but also from the lack of fundraising. My event was going to be supporting Tusk when we partnered in December, but due to COVID, what I had planned was completely cancelled. What was going to be happening was 350 guests at the preview in the Institute of Directors. The event was sponsored by HSBC, charity auction, catered, everything was all set to go, but it wasn't to be. So how do we get that fundraising back on track? This is the best effort that this artwork can do, and you guys need to get bidding. Current bids, 8,200 and 8,000 respectively, reserves at 14,000 and 15,000 respectively. We'll go over a little bit again about why I wanted to keep those reserve prices. Their catalogue values should be 18,600 and 20,160 pounds. These are an absolute bargain at the moment, so don't miss out. Make sure that you visit the link at the bottom of the page. You can go via the website, and that'll give you a really straightforward link where it says view the auction. That'll take you into Givergy, and that'll give you the opportunity to register yourself as a bidder and make sure you get those bids in. Don't leave it too late. So the reserve prices, 14,000 and 15,000. Why have I chosen those? Please don't, I don't want to just let them go for nothing. These pieces are the cream of the Tusk collection for 2020. The cheetah piece was selected by Charlie and the team there, and that was going to be going into the Tusk Gala in May. It was 600 guests in the Natural History Museum. They only select around 10 live auction items, and this piece was going to be one of them. So make sure you don't let it go. Don't let it go for a small value. So why do I do this to myself? Why do I put so much time, effort and money into raising this kind of, into putting this kind of event together? It's so important. It is so important that all of the focus at the moment, as it should be, is on the NHS, on our home values, in supporting each other to get through COVID. But what that means is conservation charities have taken an absolute hit during COVID-19, not just because of their lack of fundraising, but because of the lack of tourism. You guys who can't go on your safari holidays, that means money isn't going into the projects that are run out in Africa and supported by Tusk. One of the misconceptions as well is that because we see all our own wildlife having a resurgence in cities because we're not about, and we assume that that is happening in Africa as well, that because people are on lockdown, that the African wildlife has more of a free rein. It's not the case. People are hungry. They're going out and they're killing animals for bushmeat, and those rangers that would have been protecting them aren't being paid, and they need to feed their families as well. So African wildlife actually is in far more danger than it otherwise would be due to the lack of tourism. So it's worth it. It's worth it for me. I'm absolutely prepared to put full effort into this in order to facilitate you putting in these bids and making it as much money getting into Tusk as you possibly can. So a couple of weeks ago, I spoke to my business hero, Deborah Meaden, and she kindly agreed to meet me down at North Cadbury Court in Somerset, and we discussed the aspects of business, the paintings, why I chose Tusk and why I chose these two particular auction pieces. So here's a recap of the interview that we had down there.
Hi, I'm Deborah Meaden and I'm standing in the ballroom of North Cadbury Court in front of some lovely artwork that is going to be auctioned to raise funds for a charity that I'm a trustee of. Tusk Trust does work with African conservation. And I'm here today to talk to helicopter pilot turned artist, Hannah Shergold. So Hannah, you're a helicopter pilot turned artist. How does that happen?
Purely happy accident, I think. I was coming to the end of my contract with the Army and my last overseas tour was in Africa, and I just spent a lot of time, all my spare time really, was just doodling, drawing, sketching, doing some watercolours, and it was a time filler. I really enjoyed it and I wasn't doing it for any other reason than for my own enjoyment. And somebody saw the work, they wanted to pay money for it. I did a small exhibition out there and the whole thing went from there until it became a viable exit plan really from the Army.
You've got a really specific style. Where did you get your inspiration from? Did you train? Is it within you?
No, I didn't train. The last art training I had as such was at A-level, but I was intent I was going to be a vet when I left and went to university, so art definitely took a back seat. But I've always come back to it. I did my degree at university and I then left to be a sculptor, which ran into the 2008 credit crunch, which prompted my application to the Army. But again, I've come back to art, and the style really is happy accident of trying to not be so precise, attack work if it gets too precise and try and take it back again. And really it was me taking some builder's scraping tools to a piece that I'd overworked and trying to knock it back a bit so that it had a little bit more energy to it.
Of course, business has to come into art at some point. So how are you handling the business side of things?
The business side is probably one of the bits I'm most proud of, because there isn't a manual for how to build an art business, particularly if you're self-representing. The default would be to go and find a gallery who would like to represent your work. But I've stayed away from that purely because these days, if you work hard enough and you can use social media is your avenue to exhibiting your work and finding an audience and a following, and so the rest really is, I suppose you can learn anything you want on Google, and if that is what is a tax return, right up to, you know, how do I build a catalogue using, you know, a certain piece of software. I think I enjoy going and finding that information. The whole thing really is a problem-solving exercise, and there are just lots of problems to solve, one after the other, really.
And do you think your Army background has helped that?
Without a doubt, yeah. I did the sculpture business before with no life skills, no knowledge really of anything to do with business. And although it's not business specific, I did have to run events, run a budget, manage people, and now I may just have to manage myself, but I think it gives you a lot of skills that you can then just tweak and adapt to work out what you want to do.
And these two pieces are specifically going to be auctioned. The proceeds are all going to go to Tusk, but the entire collection, you're donating a proportion of the sale to Tusk.
That's right.
Anyway, what's your connection with the charity, with the subject?
Tusk is just, I have supported other charities in the past, but I always try and pick ones that I am passionate about what they're doing. So I've supported the UK Invictus Games team, and Born Free is another conservation charity. But for me, Tusk is everything about what they do and how they do it is, and as a result, doing wonderful conservation work. That's why I wanted to get involved with them and really, and of course, at the time I approached Tusk, coronavirus was not a thing. And so I was I was going to be doing that anyway, but now it's even more important that conservation charities like that have the extra support and I consider myself really a facilitator for people to give money. I can't give tens of thousands of pounds to help build up Tusk's lost revenue from fundraising, but I can give other people with the money the means to give it to Tusk, give them a reason to do it, really.
So how much did you sell your first picture for?
It was a small collection of watercolours and sketches, and I think they were selling for £200 or £300 each, framed. As I say, I wasn't doing it for anything more than a bit of pocket money, really. But it is the following that has grown, which has allowed the prices to go up significantly. And that was only in 2016, when I still had 2 years left to run in the army. In 2018, when I left, I think the prices were round about the sort of £6,000 to £8,000 mark, but it's the demand for them that has allowed them to go up, and I've tried to keep the exclusivity in the work. I don't do prints, I don't paint in massive volumes, so I want it to remain that whoever buys one of these pieces, they know they've got the only one, and it's always going to be the only one. I can't recreate them because it's a series of happy accidents in each painting, but I want people to feel like they're buying something that no one else is ever going to have.
So hopefully this is going to raise quite a chunk of money for Tusk. Have you got experience in raising big sums of money for charities?
Yes, the first one I did was a World Wildlife Fund charity paint. It was a live paint. I was dressed in black tie at the gala event that they had at the Dorchester, and the piece was created during the dinner and then it was auctioned at the end. And as a result of that, the Invictus Games team said, actually, we like that idea. Can you do the same for us? And I said yes, I wanted to support, but the model didn't quite work because you didn't have enough time for people to look at the painting, know if they liked it, and then think about what they wanted to bid on it. So we changed it slightly. I created 3 pieces that they would then auction at the fundraiser, and they raised a total of £30,000. And suddenly, you know, this was a really interesting way of putting, as long as the work is good and people resonate with it. And what I wanted to create in the Invictus Games pieces was the idea of celebrating movement rather than celebrating injury. And that resonated with the athletes and with the supporters. So if you can paint things that resonate with the cause that you're trying to support, you have a method of people wanting to buy into it, and hopefully with significant enough amounts of money that it really makes a difference.
So these 2 pieces that are sort of the focus of the auction, because all of the funds from these will go to Tusk.
Yeah.
Why did you choose these 2 pieces?
I think I try not to decide until the whole collection's complete, because you never really know what you like versus what everyone else likes. And actually, the cheetahs were originally going to go into Tusk's gala as one of the live auction pieces, and Tusk, Charlie had selected that himself. It was a sort of unanimous vote from the team there that's the one they liked. So that was one. But also you're trying to make it widely appealing for people, not too off the wall. Elephants are always going to be appealing to people that like conservation charities. So I do try and always put an elephant piece in.
Hannah, I think the work is lovely. You're using your talent for a really important cause, and Tusk is immensely grateful that you're donating these, but also some of the proceeds from the rest of the collection. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We are hugely grateful to Hannah Shergold for supporting the charity in the midst of this coronavirus crisis. It has never been more urgent that we raise funds to protect the wildlife and the landscape and the habitats of Africa. And we are thrilled that all of these paintings are supporting our work, not least of all these two fantastic pictures behind me, which are going to auction with 100% of the proceeds coming to Tusk.
We cannot allow this moment in time to wipe out 30 years of the conservation work that Tusk has been doing. And at the very time when the funds are not flowing into Tusk, there's a greater need for those funds to be applied directly into the conservation field in Africa. So this auction is immensely important. It's important for the work that the money will allow Tusk to do. It's important that it will keep our focus on African conservation. And apart from that, it's a great investment.
So there you have it. If Deborah Meaden says it's a good investment, then it is a good investment. Oh, we've got some background noise in here. See, it's all authentic. This is all happening live on Pall Mall. And these auction items, we've got the cheetahs ending at 7:45. Don't leave it too late to put your bids in. The reserve on the cheetahs is £14,000. The reserve on the elephants is £15,000. I don't want these to go for any less than what they're worth. I want that money to go straight to Tusk. So if Deborah Meaden says it's an investment, you better get in there. And I bet, given that these have gone up by 20% since last year, they're doing better than your stocks and shares. So make it happen. So what am I going to talk about next? I don't know. Let's freestyle. Why do I do this? Partly I wanted to put this show onto Pall Mall because it's a big, excuse the language, 2 fingers up to COVID. This non-essential businesses were allowed to open on the 15th. This show opened on the 15th. It's socially distanced, it's safe, and it's free for people to come and look at art away from their screens. The whole collection is here at La Galleria on Pall Mall, and it's open for everybody to come and have a look at this collection. The whole Tusk collection, 20% of the proceeds are going to Tusk. So not just these 2 pieces where 100% is going to them, but the rest of the collection, Tusk is getting a share of that as well. That's why, even with the bids as they are at the moment, then the total donation so far is already almost £30,000. We can do better than that. We can get these bids up to the reserves, and Tusk is going to get all of that. So what we're closing in on now is the cheetah cubs auction ending. That's going to end at 7:45. Don't leave it too late to get your bids in. Make sure that this piece reaches its reserve of £14,000. I'm going to now show you the time-lapse video of the cheetahs being created. It'll show you all of the layering system that I put into these pieces. You'll see how I scrape away the paint once it's put on, and then I go back and pick out the details. You can find loads of imagery of this piece in the catalogue and all over the website. Make sure you go and have a really good look at it. It's the absolute cream of the Tusk collection. And now I'm going to show you the time-lapse. Folks, we have got some news. There are bids on both of these that are higher than what it says on your screens at the moment. So if you think that you're waiting for the last minute, The bids now, I'm double checking with my tech team at the moment, are 14,000 on the cheetahs and 14,500 on the elephants, which means the cheetahs are sold. We can get it higher than that. We've got until 2:45, that's 5 minutes and 15 seconds, give or take, for you to get your last minute bids in. The catalogue value for this piece, 18,600 including VAT. The VAT man isn't getting any of this. It's going straight to Tusk. All of the payments that you as a high bidder is going straight via Givergy to Tusk. I even negotiated that Givergy is not taking the standard 12.5% commission. All of that money is going to Tusk. So whatever the final bid is, and it's higher than the 8,200 that you can currently see on your screen, it's now at 14,000. Make sure that we get it as high as the catalogue value. Let's keep it going. Oh, it's getting nerve-wracking. This is for those of you that think that this is easy, my heart is going like the clappers. I'm putting my absolute heart and soul into making sure this works. And I've already said to my helpers that I've got in the background, if I suddenly conk out, they're just going to come on screen and say that we'll take a short break for our sponsors and we'll come back. But yeah, what have we got now? We've got just over 4 minutes left to go, cheetah bidding. I can't see the refresh on it. This is part of it all being authentic. I can't see the refresh on my own screen. All I can see is that the bid is at 8,200. It's not, it's at 14,000. That's hit its reserve. It is being sold at 14,000, but we can make it higher than that. So as soon as we get an updated figure for what the cheetahs are at, then I will give it back to you. Deborah Meaden says it's an investment. You're not only giving all of that money to Tusk via Givergy on their site, but you're also walking away with what I hope is an investment. I don't produce anything in print. I make sure all of my pieces are originals. You are the only person that is going to have this one. It's the cream of the Tusk collection. Make sure that you secure it. It will go up. I will work hard to make sure that it goes up. And I know you won't regret it. You'll be walking away with something that hopefully you'll be pleased to have on your walls, brighten up your 4 walls. If you're working a lot harder from home and a lot more time at home, make sure that you're looking at something that you want to look at rather than something boring. So how are we doing on the time? We have got just under 3 minutes left until bidding on the cheetahs ends. I'm sure you're bored of the sound of my dulcet tones by now, but don't listen to me. Get on that site that's at the bottom of the page. Make sure that you get over to the Tusk auction page on my website. That'll take you on a direct link over to the Givergy site and you'll be able to place your bid from there. Don't leave it too late. You'll need to register and make sure that you go through the bidding process before it gets to 2:45. We've got just over 2 minutes to go until the cheetahs close. Oh, my heart's going. And I'm also running out of things to say. So I've got my list of things. I've spoken about Deborah Meaden thinking it's a great investment. I've spoken about what it means to Tusk. We know that Tusk has taken a huge hit on its fundraising. I'm doing whatever I can to make sure that I can make up at least some of that revenue that they will go back into the conservation projects. But I'm the facilitator. You guys are the people that are going to bid. I can't afford to give that much money, but hopefully if you see it as an investment, you'll also be giving a substantial amount of money to Tusk. 100% of whatever you bid is going to be going. Current bid, last I checked, was 14,000. It's still at 14,000. Let's push it up a little bit more and make sure that we get that piece sold. Catalogue value of 18,600 including VAT. There's just over a minute to go. Make sure that it's going to be yours. This is one of the best pieces in the collection. These two, that's why I've chosen them, to make sure that we get as much chance of getting that money over to Tusk as we possibly can. So now the countdown's on. You've got less than a minute. Don't forget, I'm coming to you slightly late on probably about a 5 to 10 second time delay. So by the time you're hearing this, you're going to be really cutting it fine if you're leaving your bids till the last minute. Don't make that mistake. Make sure that you're on the Givergy site, put your bids in, and all that money will be going to Tusk. It's a big two fingers up to COVID. We're doing this anyway. It's on Pall Mall, it's open, and 20% of the rest of the Tusk collection is also going to them. 15 seconds left to go. By the time you get this, it'll probably all be over. And when it is over, we're going to do a short break over to the cheetah time lapse whilst we work out what the final bid is, and then we'll be back with you. Cheetah time lapse. So the bidding closed at 16,000 and what was it? £16,300. That is about double what it says on the screen right now. But it's all authentic, and the plan that we had to, no, which way am I pointing? The plan that we had to use these numbers on the screen as coming through as a live feed clearly didn't work, but we'll know for next time. There will be a next time. But the cheetahs finished 16,300. All of that money is going to Tusk. I'm absolutely delighted that the cheetahs have reached that value. That's around about the market value for its VAT exclusive price, so I'm really pleased with that. I'm really pleased that it's all going to Tusk projects. So now, 8 o'clock is the next timing, and we've got the elephants. I'm going to shuffle the screen around so that you can see it better. This piece is the biggest piece in the collection. It's 1.50 metre by a metre. Its catalogue value £20,160, and its current bid is £14,800. That's a smidgen under its reserve price. So currently it's not sold. You only need to add on a couple of hundred, and then it's sold with 100% of the proceeds going to Tusk. Please make sure it doesn't go to waste. The reason I put the reserves on there, I don't want to just let it go. If it's going for less than that, then I'd rather keep it back, and we'll save it for another day when we can get people together and get them really competing against each other, bidding on this piece. You can see more detail of it on the website, in the catalogue. The pictures are all over the catalogue, including some pictures where you get an idea of size, because I'm in it. It's a big statement piece. It fits perfectly behind the sofa or above the headboard. Make sure that you can brighten up your own four walls with that one. So why are we doing this? I'm just going to give you a reminder from Tusk CEO Charlie Mayhew for what the impact of COVID-19 has been on Tusk and on conservation charities across Africa.
I'm talking to you today because I want to share with you this extraordinary collection of work that Hannah Shergold has put together to support the work of Tusk across Africa. I'm Charlie Mayhew, the Chief Executive of Tusk, which is an African conservation charity that has been severely impacted by the coronavirus. One of the huge concerns that we are seeing as a result of the virus is the loss of jobs and redundancies across the hospitality and travel industry across Africa due to the downturn in revenue. And that in turn is leading to an upsurge in snaring and bushmeat poaching by communities who are simply wanting to put food on the table for their families. In terms of the loss of revenue that the charity is going to see this year, because we haven't been able to stage all of the usual events that we would like to put on. The consequence of that will sadly mean that we won't be able to fund anything like the level of grants that we would normally invest in our conservation programs across the continent of Africa. We are hugely grateful to Hannah Shergold for supporting the charity in the midst of this coronavirus crisis. It has never been more urgent that we raise funds to protect the wildlife and the landscape and the habitats of Africa. And we are thrilled that all of these paintings are supporting our work. I urge everybody to bid as generously as you can for these two fantastic pictures behind me, which are going to auction with 100% of the proceeds coming to Tusk. Anyone buying any of these amazing works of art, the funds that you are donating, that Hannah is donating through her work, is going to have a very significant impact in helping us to protect the wildlife and habitats of Africa. If you'd like more information about this incredible Tusk collection, or would be keen to bid, please go to Hannah Shergold's website.
So you heard it from CEO Tusk, Charlie Mayhew, exactly the impact that COVID-19 has had on Tusk and its projects across Africa this year. Not only has it not been able to fundraise, but it's also lost tourism, which brings a lot of money into the African communities over there. So I'm trying to do something about it. I'm also losing track of what I'm going to be saying next. Shortly I'm going to be bringing you the Elephants Entwined time-lapse video, but until then I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about how I created the piece. The source materials by kind permission of a wonderful photographer that I follow called Wolf Adamite, and he allows me to use his wonderful black and white photos to create these pieces. You can see the piece in detail all through the catalogue. There's lots of pictures of it. It is front and centre of Pall Mall. It's on the huge window vinyl that faces out onto Pall Mall. So it has been pride of place in central London since I got here on Monday. The show is open until the 29th, with 20% of the rest of the Tusk collection going to Tusk as well. You can view it every day from 10 o'clock until 6 o'clock. I'm here every day to welcome you. I have wine, I have Prosecco, and I have the snazziest paper disposable cups you've ever seen. I found them on Amazon. You can come and see them here. Come and have a drink with me. I'm getting bored. Come and have a drink with me. But when you do, come and have a look around. It's safe, it's socially distanced, and you've got lots of space within the gallery to actually get away from your screens. You're watching me on screen now, isn't it rubbish? These pieces look nothing compared to what they look like in real life. Come into the gallery, come and have a look, and I'll be able to take you around, show you some of the pieces, get really up close to them. They look totally different when they're in real life. So I created this Elephants Entwined piece with a black and white photograph. It is the biggest piece in the collection, and I always like to make sure that I've got elephants as one of the auction pieces. Elephants really resonate with people that are passionate about conservation, so I wanted to make sure that that is one of the pieces here. So now I'm going to show you the time lapse of Elephants Entwined. So you're back with me. That was a time lapse of Elephants Entwined. This is the largest piece in the collection. Its current bid on the Givergy site, which you can find via my website, which the link is at the bottom of the page. Go to hannahshergold.com/. Tusk auction. In there you'll find all the details about the piece, about its place in the catalogue, and also a link which says view the auction. That will take you straight to the Givergy site where you can place a bid. It's currently not met its reserve. Its reserve is 15,000. It's currently at 14,800. Ignore what it says on the side of your screen. This is authentic. I couldn't get it to update. We'll work it out for next time. But 14,800, we need it to get to 15 so that all of that money can go to Tusk. Its catalogue value is £20,160, including VAT. So this is still, even at 15,000, this is a bargain. I work hard to make sure that whatever piece you buy is the only one, it's only ever going to be the only one, and it will go up. These have all gone up by 20% since last year, guaranteed that's more than your stocks and shares have done this year. But I'm going to work hard to make sure that this is a sound investment for you. And Deborah Meaden says it's an investment, so it is. We all know she's everyone's favourite dragon. Sorry, everyone else. So what time have we got left? We've got 4.5 minutes left to get the elephants entwined over 15,000. It's currently at 14,800. That has not met its reserve. Why do I put a reserve on them? I want to make sure that if I'm going to let pieces go, and I don't make any money out of these two pieces, these are the two of the best pieces in the collection, I'm not going to make any money from these, 100% is going to go to Tusk. Why do I put a reserve on? Because if it doesn't make that price, I'd rather save it for when we've actually got an audience. This is as good as I can make it. This is as interactive as I can make it in the current circumstances from here on Pall Mall, when people are still a little bit worried about coming into London. But if it doesn't work, I'll hold the piece back and we'll auction it at another time. So if you want it now and you want it for a bargain, that will be £5,000 less than what it would be in the catalogue for its equivalent size. If you want it now, put that bid in at 15,000. That is its reserve price, and 100% of those funds are going to be going to Tusk. Not even a commission fee from Givergy. They kindly waived it. So 100% going to Tusk. Make sure that your bid is the highest bid. What can we talk about next? We've already raised 16,300 from the cheaters. Ignore the price that it says for lot 1 and lot 2. We haven't managed to make sure that those update on the piece of software that we're using. We're working with it. We're working with all the trials and tribulations that COVID is presenting, right down to the fact that we haven't got any Wi-Fi, and I'm hotspotting to you right now from my iPhone to make sure that this comes to you live. So 16,300 raised from the cheater cubs in hiding, 100% of those funds is going to Tusk. That takes, with my quick maths, I think the total now we've raised is about £47,000 for Tusk. That's if the elephants were to go at only 8,000. If they went for 14,800, we'd be way above that. But they've got to sell for 15,000, otherwise it's not going to meet its reserve, it's not going to go, and we'll just have to save it until another day. Currently got just over 2 minutes left to go for the elephants entwined piece. You can see all the details about this piece on the website, hannahshergold.com. You'll find the catalogue there, all the information about my inspiration for painting it, why I love painting elephants, the fact that they are really indicative of conservation projects, particularly in Africa. Oh, don't do this to me. Come on, everybody, put those bids in. Heart and soul has gone into this project, not only in painting it, but in putting together the catalogue and then running this show here in central London on Pall Mall. Screw COVID, we're going to do it anyway. It's open here until the 29th. You've got safe, socially distanced art viewing. Get away from your screens and come and see me. I've got Prosecco, so you can come and drink it. So how are we doing now? We've got just over 1 minute left to go. Don't forget there's a 5 to 10 second time lag between me talking and you receiving it. So if I'm saying there's just over a minute, there's now just under a minute for you. Make sure that you don't leave it too late. Don't look at me, get on the website below, make sure that you go to givergy.com and the link is all in my auction page website. It says view the auction, click on that, it will take you straight to the site where you can place a bid, and 100% of the funds are going to be going to Tusk. So make sure you don't leave it too late. We've got 30 seconds left to go. One more bid, people. It can't be any closer to the wire for this piece to meet its reserve. If it doesn't go, I've got no shame in holding it back and waiting for a time when it's going to reach its value. I want to make sure that I'm not just giving it away. These are important pieces, they're investment pieces. I'm giving them to Tusk, but I want to make sure they're going for the right price. So 15,000 is still over 5,000 less than its catalogue value, so you're still getting an absolute bargain. Make sure that you bid. They are going to go up. They've gone up 20% this year. Oh, and we're done. So I've prattled away long enough. The Givergy total for the elephants, did it meet its reserve? No, it didn't. I'm going to hold this piece back. Disappointing, yes, but I'm going to hold it back and we're going to do something wonderful with it later on in the year. It's been a pleasure to partner with Tusk. Tonight we've raised £16,300 from the sale of cheetahs, and we will do something with this other piece. It's going to remain donated to Tusk. It's going to remain with 100% of the funds going there. If you are interested in it and you missed the bidding or you didn't have a chance to bid, please just get in touch with me via the website hannahshergold.com, and in there you'll find all of the contact details and we can have a chat. For now though, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to leave you with the time lapse of elephants entwined, and in the meantime I haven't been able to respond to any social media and the phone's been pinging away in the background, so I'm going to go off and do that. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you all soon.